Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Game number 2 is here in our After Hours Gaming League quarterfinals, best of 7 between Microsoft and National Instruments. This time we are going to have a Zerg versus Terran, a little bit different to the previous game. We did see our Microsoft player just play a very nice, stable game there from our Terran player, and he was able to just secure the victory. So we'll move into this one, of course, with the scores currently at 1-0. Starting at the top right hand side is our red Zerg player for National Instruments. He will be looking to try and even the scores here if he wants to keep National Instruments in contention for this. Of course, it is Sergeant York, and we'll see what he gets up to in this game. Looks like a pretty quick little drone scout there, just to make sure he can keep an eye on what's going on. His opponent down in the bottom right-hand side as our blue Terran player playing for Microsoft. You've seen him just putting out some lines from Power Rangers there. He does have a red Power Ranger profile picture on the After Hours Gaming website, so you can check that out there. It is War Death. Of course, you know, if War didn't have any death, it'd just be a pretty loud argument with lots of pushing and shoving. But he's going to be, you know, we'll see what he gets up to here. This is a Masters versus Diamond level matchup between these two, so it should be a pretty decent matchup. Of course, Star Station, a very big map. In fact, so big that I should actually put the sound on. There you go. And we've got, well, the drone's just having a quick peek through, wants to see what's going on. Sees that there is that Rax going down, but didn't actually catch that the gas is there very quickly. So he's actually going to head back inside. Sergeant York is just wanting to scout out exactly what's going on. Sees that the gas is there. Should have a quick look and see how much gas is being taken out. But pretty much the fact that that's already there and the barracks is only just barely halfway done, he should know that it is going to be either some pretty quick Reapers, or perhaps some you know, maybe some early reactor play off that Rax, or even perhaps just a very quick factory. So we'll find out what he is going to do to deal with that. But of course, he has gotten his hatchery going up at the natural expand just over there. So just things proceeding pretty standard for the moment. And of course, as we can see, something that has been a pretty big change in Heart of the Swarm is the fact that Zerg players will generally be very quick to get their Zergling speed out. Of course, as we said before, the possibility of Reapers, the possibility of you know, some sort of weird reactor plays that can come out from time to time is something that can be quite devastating if it's not really dealt with accordingly. So it is very common to see the Zerg players get this speed up as quickly as possible. As we can see, we've got our Zerg here from NI just picking up that gas quickly as possible, and he's going to want to get that rolling in a very short time. Meanwhile, for War Death, he's actually going for a reactor with a very quick, without even taking an expansion. I'm a little bit surprised about this, just getting out these Hellions extremely quickly. I'm assuming it's going to be Hellions because there's no real way to get the gas for the Widow Mines. But yeah, just Hellions coming out straight up, so he is going to put on a little bit of pressure right at the start. Not something that you see too commonly, of course. These sort of gas one-based openings have become something of a little bit of a common sort of thing to see for Terran versus Zerg. Of course, as we mentioned before, the Reaper's very strong, but this one I haven't really seen for too long. Of course, in Wings of Liberty, your common sort of expansion for a Terran would be a one Rax expand with a Hellion follow-up from that, and it looks as if the scouting SCV from War Death is finally going to get picked off, stole some minerals, and then got out of there as quickly as possible. But for Sergeant York, of course, as we can see, his worker count is going to start to climb up now. He's a little bit supply blocked for a moment there, but he's now going to fix that up. And, well, we'll wait to see how he's going to deal with these Hellions, because they're about to be revealed, and I think, yep, there they go. So they are now revealed, and it looks like, well, he may be able to, well, yeah, he should be able to get those out. Hopefully they won't take too much damage, but no spine crawler here for Sergeant York, and of course there is no wall off at the front here either, which allows War Death to just waltz right inside. He's not afraid of just walking around. A little bit of micro there to try and keep the Hellions out of danger, but a little bit too late with that. But a few drones are going to be roasted up. War Death just looking to try and really cap out his opponent in the worker count early on. Does get quite a few, as we can see. The worker kill tally goes to 5, may go a little bit higher. Some of these drones are so incredibly low. There you go. picks up a couple more, and the total of worker kills goes to 8. So War Death, you know, despite the fact that his expansion is a lot later than it would normally be, he has certainly got a lot of damage done very early on there. As we can see, the worker count looking a lot different to what it would normally look like. 22 SCVs to a total of 24 drones right now, and it looks like Sergeant York is going to try and get back across, maybe get some of his own damage done, but there are already a couple of Hellions ready to defend along with that supply depot wall as well. So things should be pretty safe here for our Terran player from Microsoft. We'll see how he's going to transition from here. It looks as if we will actually get a mech. Yep, definitely mech play is going to come out of War Death. He's followed up with a second factory. A third is also being built right now. Of course, no real marine count being you know, being boosted up there as well, so it is definitely going to be some sort of mech play from the Terran right now. Meanwhile, for our National Instruments, Zerg, he's currently got the Evo Chamber on the way. A little bit surprising to see that this isn't down here at the front door, just to try and increase that as a, you know, sort of choke that off as with a little bit of a wall here. But the Ling's going to be caught out by some of these Hellions. They are pushing across. We've currently got quite a few, well, we've got a couple of drones being built, but some Lings are also on the way. But, you know, looking at this defense here from Sergeant York, he's got quite a few Queens out now. We've got 4 Queens out, so he should be okay to keep those Hellions at bay for the moment. But what I'm just a little bit worried about is the fact that his drone count is still only just a few ahead of his Terran opponent, sitting at 32 drones right now. We'll need to try and boost that up as quickly as possible, unless he is going to go for some sort of really weird bust sort of timing here. But the Hellion count is just increasing as we move along. We've now got very quick Overlord speed being picked up there. Of course, that upgrade is now available at the hatchery. Hasn't seen that the expansion is down just yet, but it looks as if we will have to deal with a little bit of trouble here. The Hellions are going to find a hole in the front door here. No Lings at the top of the ramp, no walling anywhere here, and War Death again has just walked his way inside the main here, and I can tell you what, a lot of drones are going to go down. The Lings come across to try and defend against this. Blue Flame is just moments from completion as well. Unfortunately for War Death, just perhaps a just, you know, 30 seconds too early there. Look at that Ling. That's just sitting off the side there. What happened to gravity on Star Station? I do not know, but the drone count absolutely decimated right now. We've got Sergeant York picking up a Baneling nest because he wants to try and get back in this game. 28 Lings are in construction right now, so he's pretty much at that point where you say, uh-oh, I'm in quite a lot of trouble here, and my Terran opponent is going to be, well, you know, he's going to be very powerful through that mid-game, so I either need to do something now or need to take some sort of crazy economic risk. And we're waiting. Well, he has taken the 3rd base here. What I would really love is to see Sergeant York take a 4th just across to the side, even the 5th just across to this side as well. Would be, you know, despite the fact that we are going to have these Lings coming across to deal some damage. Of course, the Blue Flame is just finished, and now with a Widowmine at the front as well, there is really nothing that is going to work here against War Death. He's just in this really excellent position. 64 supply for him. He's actually 12 ahead of the Zerg in the early game here. That's how this is sitting right now. And as more factories start to come along, we've got tanks starting to pump out as well. Things are just going to slowly get a little bit worse here for Sergeant York. But we'll see what it can do. His lair is now morphing in. We've got gases 3 and 4 on the way. The 3rd base is about to get finished up as well. So we'll see how he's going to do here. It looks like the Lings and the Banes across to the side are going to get roasted up by those Hellions here. One thing which we have to consider with this map is the fact that there are so many avenues for drops to come through. I would really like to see also perhaps just, you know, some drop plays coming through the side. You can come through here if you can get inside and maybe get some get some units on top of the Terran units there. They will go down reasonably quickly, but we'll have to see, because the Hellion harassment just continues here. And Sergeant York, where is the where are the spine crawlers at the front? Where are the Evo chambers as well? Because he's just letting these Hellions in time and time again. The work kill tally goes up to 23. The Queens will come across and finally defend against these Hellions here, but so much damage has already been done. I'm not really sure if that's going to save the day. So Sergeant York in a very awkward position right now. Needs to his drone count sitting at 28 against a 51 SCV Terran player. the Spire is on the way, and you know we could get some mutas out, which may help. But I mean, we're up against a Terran who is meching at the moment. We've got a single Widow Mine out at the moment. I'm just sort of scouting around to try and see if there are any extra Widow Mines, but no, none at the moment. But there is now a Thor on the way, so the Thor is going to be able to help out against those mutas once they spawn. Assuming he is going to just stick with the mutas, because I mean, with his economy and the position that it's in, it's actually going to be very hard to get a decent amount of these mutas out. And with the Spire just about to complete, we can see the gas count up at 600, but interestingly, it's the minerals that is very low here for our Zerg player, and it looks like he will continue to try and push the creep out, trying to keep these Hellions back as best as possible, but the Hellions just continuing to do so much damage here. We've just had, just having a look at the units lost tab, 87 units have been lost, to bring it to a total of 3,061 resources in total for our Zerg player. So, as we can see, the drone count at the main base is 6. 6 drones on those minerals here. He's just struggling to bring in that money, which he really needs to start really boosting up his offensive and defensive presence here, but it is just getting too difficult to do so. So, you know, I'm just trying to figure out a way that Sergeant York could try and bring this back. Of course, the mutas will help out in dealing with any drops that may want to come across the map, but I mean, there's only like 5 of them out on the map at the moment, and with one more coming along, that's nice. But I mean, you know, there is already one Thor. There is 3 more Thors on the way. In fact, there's 2 Thors out, so it's going to be a total of 5 Thors out on the map very soon. And while these mutas will try and do their best to stop the Hellion harassment here, and as we said, they'll do really well against pushing away medevac drops, but you know, there is not much that they're going to do on their own. So I perhaps would have liked to see the investment go a little bit more into the drone count. Of course, 34 drones out at the moment here for Sergeant York, whereas our Terran player looking to finally get a third base, I believe. Yep, the orbital command just finishing up here. Probably going to drop that down on the third base here, and once he cleans up these mutas, that shouldn't be too much of a trouble, and the mutas will come about. It looks like the Thors are actually perfectly in position to shoot down some of those mutas, and they do get a couple of shots off. The mutas, however, will find a little bit of a sweet spot. One of the Thors down to towards the low ground will help out in the defense, but the tanks are actually, well, we're going to lose 2 of the tanks. Not too bad, I suppose. That's not the greatest trade there for Sergeant York. Unfortunately, he did lose the majority of those mutas. So while he is able to capitalize and grab a couple of kills there, unfortunately, it is still looking like a very dire position for him right now. He's down at 65 supply against a 153 meching Terran. If this was perhaps a bio Terran, then, you know, then there could be a little bit more hope right now for Sergeant York, but unfortunately right now the cost efficiency of mech is the big part about doing this particular style of play. It's one of my favorites, and I do use it quite a lot, using quite a lot of Thors. I actually like to switch them into high impact payload mode, because even against you know, packs of mutas, they still do really well until the pack just becomes a huge flock. But anyway, as I was saying, mech, a very cost efficient style. What we'll probably see from our Terran here at War Death, he'll probably just look to try and push out just straight across and just slowly make his way up, clearing up some of this creep, just coming across. He'll be able to take out a base if that is still there at the time that he decides to push, which is actually going to be very soon. And I would not be surprised if we just see him just move straight up here into the woods, the natural. There's no real need to try and assault this third base. If he can take out the natural and just push through, then he's going to be just, you know, taking the victory straight away. So the supply count now up to 180 for our Terran player here, War Death, with the blue flame on those Hellions. He does also have the what are they called? Transformation servos on the yep, transformation servos. I tell you what, I don't actually often get this upgrade. I either build Hellions or just build the Hellbats, but he does have that upgrade if he does want to switch them into Hellbats, which I'm sure he will. They're fantastic for pushing. Of course, they just lay waste to any light units on the ground, and do a fantastic job tanking for, well, tanks and Thors as well. So we'll see how he's going to push very soon. Where are the upgrades? There they are. We've got level 2 weapons on the way for War Death at the moment, so he's going to be pushing across. I'd say when that's done, that's actually going to time out quite nicely with his max out, which I'm sure will be coming very soon. soon. Meanwhile, for our Zerg players, we can see he has gone up to the infestation pit and is getting a few lurkers. They're not lurkers, Duckville. They're swarm hosts. He's got a couple of swarm hosts out, been playing a little bit too much of the campaign, or perhaps a little bit too much Brood War, but we do have those swarm hosts out now for Sergeant York. Of course, these guys do help out a little bit in terms of slowing down, pushing power, but I mean, when you've only got a count of, how many is it, 4 swarm hosts out on the map, it doesn't really do too much. Of course, the Locusts do have a nice amount of damage, of course 13 per shot, and they do shoot faster than 1 per second, so it now looks as if War Death, with his 200 maxed out, he's got his his +2 weapons about to complete. A couple more Hellbats are going to be added into this army, and the 4th base here of Sergeant York is going to be in quite a lot of trouble. The only real defense that Sergeant York has right now are these few mutas up in the air. We've got a few Banelings on the ground as well, along with some Swarm Hosts, and I think that this battle is, well, perhaps not going to go too well for our Zerg player from National Instruments. And here come the tanks sieging up the front few. Going to leave a couple more to come along as well. And Sergeant York, I totally agree, this is a bit of a lol situation, but here we go. The mutas just attempted to fly in, but too much damage there. The Swarm Host moving towards the back to perhaps get in a bit of a better position here, but with the SCVs going to be helping out with the tanking at the front, the tanks slowly leapfrogging their way up. There is no single way that our Zerg player is going to be able to recover from this, and that is going to be game. So we are going to take it to a 2-0 lead for Microsoft right now. Red Ranger power indeed from War Death, and he comes along and is just annihilating the entire side of the Zerg map here, and that is, as we said, going to take it to a 2-0 win at the moment here, meaning that National Instruments is going to need to make sure that they can secure that next game. Otherwise, we're going to be at 3-0, and then after that, of course, in a best of 7, you just need to win 4 games, and then you take out the wins. So we'll find out if National Instruments can come back in the next match. In game number 3, you can join us there in just a moment.